California has run out of gas. It now leads a crisis that is being felt across the entire United States. Gasoline prices are approaching $4.81 per gallon, and households are trembling. As refineries shut down due to extreme environmental regulations, Donald Trump has launched a commercial offensive that detonates decades of cooperation with Canada and Mexico. Now, Canadian Ambassador Nadine Theodore has filed a complaint against the United States at the WTO, while Irwin Oil raises fuel prices and TAC energy issues alerts from New England. The Trump administration, obsessed with sealing borders, has ignited an economic war that is exploding in Americans' wallets. Gasoline is just the beginning. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear could change the way you see global power. We'll now give you the details you need to truly understand what's happening and help you stay one step ahead. This is News for Dummies, where we break everything down to foster your critical understanding of current events. Fuel prices in California have crossed an alarming threshold, $8.10 per gallon. According to the American Automobile Association, this is not the ceiling but just the beginning of even more aggressive increases driven by reduced availability and regulatory pressure imposed by the state. So-called green policies have left a trail of shuttered facilities, eliminating much of the state's refining capacity. This has forced the search for gasoline in distant markets, multiplying logistical expenses and transferring the burden of this cost directly to those filling up their tanks. Former President Donald Trump decided to further stoke economic tension with a devastating tariff package, 25% on all imports from Mexico, 10% on Canadian energy, and a doubled penalty on Chinese products, which now face a 20% tariff. These moves have brutally raised the cost of foreign energy flows. The White House defended the offensive as a crusade against drug trafficking and illegal immigration, but experts quickly raised alarms about the real impact of these measures: a more fragile economy and increasingly battered consumers. The international response was swift. China retaliated with countermeasures that directly affect U.S. exports. Canada enacted equivalent tariffs, and Mexico announced its own set of responses. The current scenario is a trade war that threatens to dismantle key supply chains and make essential goods unaffordable. In Chinese cities, workers are taking to the streets to demand wages that have been denied for months amid the chaos caused by the tariffs. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is maneuvering cautiously to avoid a commercial collapse with his country's main partner. California, caught between industrial shutdowns, strict environmental rules, and a confrontational foreign policy, finds itself at the epicenter of a crisis affecting both supply stability and price predictability. The outlook for citizens is bleak: constant fuel price increases, economic uncertainty, and an energy infrastructure weakened by internal and international decisions that continue to offer no clear way out of the maze. The numbers are striking. Nearly a quarter of the oil refined in the United States comes exclusively from Canada and Mexico. The Department of Energy confirms that these two countries supply a significant portion of the fuel that becomes energy for millions of American homes and vehicles. The imposed tariffs have had a lightning-fast effect. Wholesale gasoline prices in the northeastern United States skyrocketed as soon as the measures were made official, immediately impacting a region that heavily depends on Canadian supply to maintain its energy system. TAC Energy, a key sector distributor, left no room for doubt. The escalation is already affecting service stations in New England. According to its report, consumers should prepare to pay between 30 and 50 cents more per gallon. The region was already under pressure even before the full impact hit. Just a few days ago, the average was around X dollars per gallon, but the blow accelerated when Irwin Oil, Canada's main supplier to the area, updated its rates to reflect the new tariff-related costs. From its massive refinery in St. John with a capacity of 320,000 barrels per day, Irwin Oil sends more than half its production to the U.S. Northeast. The problem is that there is no viable replacement. Many terminals depend exclusively on that supply route. What do you think about the possibility of a long-term collapse in North America's energy alliance? Give us your opinion in the comment box below. The crisis isn't confined to regional borders. Beyond the Northeast, areas with high dependence on imported oil, both Canadian and Mexican, are beginning to feel the consequences and brace for a price surge that threatens to spread nationwide. The energy link between Canada and the United States is strong but vulnerable. 4 million barrels a day cross the border, most ending up in Midwest refineries specifically designed to process that type of crude. Any disruption hits where it hurts most. Another critical artery can't be ignored. Mexico sends more than 450,000 barrels a day to refineries along the Gulf Coast. The expectation in Midwest areas is clear. An increase of 10 to 15 cents per gallon is forecast in the coming weeks. From the leadership of fuel and petrochemical manufacturers, Jay Thompson delivered a scathing critique of the administration's measures. Imposing tariffs on energy imports, refined products, and petrochemicals will not make us more energy secure, nor reduce costs for consumers. Amid the commercial storm, Thompson held on to a thread of hope. We still hope for a quick resolution with our North American neighbors. But the crisis unleashed by this tariff wave is already hitting a country whose infrastructure relies almost entirely on fossil fuels. The U.S. has a long history of energy and industrial partnerships with Canada and Mexico that have ensured stability. That symbiosis, which worked for decades, now trembles under the growing tension that threatens to spill into vital sectors of the productive apparatus. The scale of regional trade makes clear what's at stake. Nearly $900 billion annually in key goods like cars, parts, heavy machinery, oil, and other essential inputs. Any disruption in that flow would be a seismic shock. The fracture has quickly taken diplomatic form. Ottawa has taken the dispute to the World Trade Organization in a move marking the start of a formal legal battle with potentially devastating consequences for North America's economic balance. The legal argument leaves no room for ambiguity. The imposition of these tariffs, explained Nadine Theodore, Canada's ambassador to the WTO, was met by her country as a necessary act to counter a policy they deem harmful and arbitrary. But the harshest words came from Prime Minister Mark Carney himself. He bluntly accused Trump of trying to collapse the Canadian economy and firmly stated, "We will never be annexed by the United States." He also warned that the bill will be paid by both peoples without exception. Tension has started to be felt in the pockets of millions of American families. With every cent gasoline prices rise, consumer anxiety grows as their incomes evaporate in the face of a storm that seems only just beginning. The current fuel crisis in California is more than just a local issue. It is the result of years of rising environmental regulation, long-standing energy interdependence in North America, and a dramatic political pivot by the Trump administration. For decades, the United States has relied heavily on Canada and Mexico for its refined petroleum needs, building a complex but efficient cross-border energy ecosystem. But that balance is now collapsing. The beneficiaries of this sudden tariff-driven policy might include domestic producers who gain temporary protection, but even they face logistical and pricing challenges due to lost inputs and international retaliation. The main victims are American consumers, already hit with record prices, and small businesses that depend on fuel logistics. Canada and Mexico, now retaliating through the WTO and with tariffs of their own, are also poised to suffer serious economic blowback, just as global markets destabilize further due to Chinese countermeasures. In short, this isn't just a gas price story. This is a breakdown of a decades-old alliance that powered North America's economic growth. Now it's your turn. If you found this analysis revealing, leave us a comment with your opinion on this energy conflict. Do you think Trump's tariffs will strengthen U.S. independence or lead to long-term economic pain? Subscribe if you haven't already, because we'll be tracking the fallout of this crisis minute by minute. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next video, where we'll explore how this crisis could reshape global energy alliances forever. And if you want to understand the history of North America's energy pact, click now on the video on screen. You won't believe how deep the ties go.